Hi everyone, my name is James. Just want to talk to you about Plan B. What is Plan B? Well, Plan A was my very first video I uploaded onto the YouTube channel, discussing my desire to be financially independent, to retire early, FIRE. And my goal back then was I was going to save up hard for the next 7 or so years, I think I said. I think I wanted to retire by the time I was 50. And that would be like 2032, around that sort of time I wanted to retire. Plan B is I'm not going to be doing that because working 80 plus hours a week for 7 years is going to kill me, and I don't want to be dead. I want to be able to travel because I miss traveling very, very much. And I'm headed somewhere. I can't say where I'm going because it's a surprise for my dad. We're going to be traveling in September, so you'll be on that ride with me if you want to come and join. We'll be vlogging the entire travel. But yeah, I can't travel when I'm working 80 hours a week for 7 or so years. So my goal will now be doing a thing called coast fire. What is coast fire? Do you have to live by the coast? No. Coast fire basically means that you front load your savings for retirement now, and then you let time and the growth in the market and different other investments or whatever do its thing over the time. So by the time you want to retire, that amount has got you to a really comfortable position, so you can retire. So basically what it means is that you get to a point where saving for retirement is optional. And then all you need to do is save money to fund your life for that year or for whatever situation you want to live in. So if you can crunch the numbers and you know that your lifestyle and your rent and car payments or fuel, whatever, Netflix for subscriptions, you know that that's going to cost you $30,000 a year, well then you know what, you only need to make $30,000 a year because you don't need to save to put money away for retirement. If you want to save to go on holiday, if you want to save to buy a boat, whatever, you can save for that, but you're not saving for retirement. You've done that. You've done the hard work now, so you can kind of take your foot off the gas and coast, as it's called, to retirement. So that is my plan. My plan B, is to do coast fire. What does that mean for me now? Is that my fire number that I probably mentioned in the video back in February was I probably wanted around that $1.5 million before I retired, and I will retire by the time I'm 50, because that $1.5 million would then fund my non-work life. So that would be 10 years earlier. So if I was to retire at say 60, I'm now retiring at 50. So I need to fund another 10 years, and I haven't got time to have that money compounding in the market or whatever like that. So time is not on my side. That's why I needed more of it. But because I'm going to front load all my investments today, the money will do its thing. And in 20 years time, that number will be around, it could be between $3 to $4 million. It could be between $2 to $3 million. I don't know, but it's going to be enough money for me to live very comfortably and do the things that I want to do when I do retire, when I'm at the age around 60, 62, or whatever like that. So what does that mean for living life now? Is that all I need to do once I hit a number, and I think the number for me will be around the $550,000. So over the next 20 or so years time, that will 4 times, it's, I don't know, more than that. It's double, it should double every 7 years. I'd assume that my, let's call it $500,000 will go up to $1 million in 7 years time. So that's going to be 2032. And then 7 years time beyond that is 2039. That will be around the $2 million mark. And then if you just did one more double, it'll be 4 million. But I'm putting a bit more than $500,000 in now, so it could be more, the market could be less. I don't know. But all I know is that I'm going to have, hopefully, if the plan goes to fruition, is that I should have between $3 to $4 million by the time I'm 60, 62 sort of thing. So what I need to do today is get to that number. So I think I'm going to get to that number next year. So my goal is to continue to save money for retirement until June. Now, how am I doing that? In Australia, we have a thing called superannuation. Superannuation is like a 401k or an ISA in the UK. That money, when you work in Australia, your employer has to contribute 12% of your weekly normal earnings to your superannuation fund, like a retirement savings fund. It's additional to your weekly wage. For me, my weekly wage, I think it gets me around $140 a week goes into superannuation. So 12% of that, of my 40-hour weekly earnings is that $140 or whatever it is. And then 15% of that is taken away as tax. So the tax rate for superannuation is 15%. Now, very quickly, in Australia, you're allowed to contribute this financial year, it's $30,000 a year. So you take your 12% of your 40 hours a week, and then you can work out whatever you have left over, you can contribute on top of that. Because I haven't worked in Australia for some time, I have all these previous years. You can go back 5 years, not including the current financial year. So I can go back a number of ways, and you can go on the ATO website and you can see how much money you have available as additional contributions. I can contribute around the $125,000 being taxed at 15%. So 100% of my regular earnings, so my 40 hours a week, goes to superannuation. So currently my superannuation savings rate is 112% of my regular earnings. So that works out to be roughly between 75 to 80,000 in the financial year. Okay, so that money goes straight into superannuation. I don't get to touch it until I'm at least 60 at the moment. So how am I living my life today is that any allowances, anything additional to 40 hours, I get paid that into my bank account. Because I'm getting paid less, my tax rate is less. Plus I'm delivering in the van, doing Uber, so Uber Eats. So that money goes into my bank account, and obviously I have to then pay tax on top of that. So I sort of strip out 30%. Again, we'll go all through that stuff later and how I work my numbers. But $550,000 is what number I should be able to save for retirement by June, July next year. Additional to that, any money that I don't spend this year should go to my life for next year. And then any money I earn from January to June next year will go to fund my lifestyle for the following year. Does that make sense? So basically, this year it's 2025. Any money that I make this year that's additional to my superannuation goes to, one, living my life today, two, paying for my life next year. And then any money I earn at the start of next year will fund my life the following year. Now, you're probably wondering that if I'm living my life now and I'm paying for my life next year and saving all this money, how am I going to live? Well, I live in the van. This year, I think, again, I go through my numbers, but my rough living expenses in the van plus savings and, saving for registration, insurance, all that kind of, sunken costs and stuff, I roughly work out that my life, to live my life, is around $17,000, $18,000 a year. I roughly spend $1,200 to $1,400 a month just to live my life. Some months are high, some months are low. But basically, it's very, very minimal. And then next year, I plan to live in the van and travel around Australia. So again, my living costs for following year will also be low. So the money that I make for next year for 2027 will be higher, and that will allow me to go traveling a bit more. But in saying that, I plan to do a bit of hiking in New Zealand in 2027, or the summer of, the summer kind of thing, 26, 27, I think I'll go through my calendar of my current plans later. But basically, I just wanted to show you what my kind of thoughts are. So Coast Fi for me is the perfect balance between saving for retirement, being comfortable at retirement, but also being able to live the lifestyle that I want to live. So if I can work for 6 months and make enough money to fund the other 6 months and live frugally while I work, and at the moment I live in a van, if I can find jobs that provide accommodation, etc., and whatever money I earn on top of that can fund my life for the following year, then that's what's going to make it all beneficial for me. So yeah, that's my journey. So Coast Fi, not fire, Coast Fi, financial independence, coasting to retirement. So that's my plan, plan B. That's where we'll leave this video. I'm going to go through all my deets, all my numbers, all that kind of stuff on a different video, just to explain a bit more what my savings and stuff are. And I'm tossing up between talking about real numbers. One thing I want to completely make sure people understand is that having $1 million doesn't make you like richy rich. It basically, there's a house over there that's probably worth $1 million these days, and this is the lovely old retired couple living in it. Having lots of money doesn't make, I don't want to make it me, oh, James has got money, richy rich. No, I'm working my absolute arse off. Some weeks I'm doing 90 hours a week. I mean, the French would lose their mind if someone had to work 90 hours in a week. But that's what I'm doing. So I'm basically just working like 3 years in 1.5 years. I'm doing double the work now, so I don't have to do the work later. And I'm just using compound interest to be more advantageous for me, and tax, strategies and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm doing. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to share my actual real numbers, because again, I don't want it to change, because obviously you're going to have family and people and friends and stuff like that seeing it. I just being mindful of that. But it doesn't take a genius to kind of backwards engineer how much money. If I think I make $38 an hour driving the coach. And if you look up how much you can make for Uber, I mean, sometimes yesterday I was making like $50 an hour, and then for half part of the day, and then, on average it's around the $30 an hour kind of thing when you strip out fuel and that. If you start doing the math and work out how much tax and all that kind of stuff you have to pay, you can get a fairly accurate picture of how much I earn. Therefore, I can tell you how much money I save, and I can tell you how much money I spend, and then you can work out the difference, and then you can probably plug that into a calculator to work out how much money I have. I mean, it doesn't take a genius. It's hard when you start to like outwardly say, I have there, because people may look at you differently, that's all. Anyway, I've rambled along long enough, and we'll end it there. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.